Overview. The Anthropocene Reviewed 2021 is a collection of essays extracted from American author and YouTube content creator John Green's podcast. The lighthearted essays explore varied topics surrounding human existence on planet Earth, from Super Mario Kart to the Black Death. Some reflect Green's thoughts, others his experiences. He explores each topic, then rates its subject on a scale of up to 5 stars. Sunsets, for example, get 5 stars, while Canada geese only rate 2. Insights from Chapter 1. Number 1. You'll Never Walk Alone is a song written by Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein. It is a song that inspires hope, and although cheesy, it has been adopted as the official anthem of the English soccer club Liverpool, with the title etched on the iron gate of its official stadium. Insights from Chapter 2. Number 1. Each species on Earth has a temporal range, which is the length of time a species has existed on Earth. The human species has existed for nearly 250,000 years. However, that number is minuscule in comparison to other species and the planet Earth's temporal range. Insights from Chapter 3. Number 1. Every 74 years, a comet can be seen orbiting Earth's atmosphere. It was dubbed Halley's Comet after Edmund Halley, who noted that the comet had a very similar orbit to comets observed in 1607 and 1531, and predicted that it would come back in 1758, which it did. Insights from Chapter 4. Number 1. The Great Gatsby, a novel that criticizes the American dream, has been heralded as an American classic. However, it seems not everyone was in on the fact that the novel is a heavy critique of the upper class. Hotels have chosen to name expensive suites based on the novel. Insights from Chapter 5. Number 1. In 1940, some teenagers came across a cave with prehistoric paintings. The paintings were so well made that people started coming from all over France to see them. Eventually, human interaction began to ruin the paintings, so the cave was sealed off, and replicas of the paintings were made. Insights from Chapter 6. Number 1. Scratch and sniff stickers were a popular fad in the 1990s. This is a testament to the human ability to recreate smells. However, they are not very accurate. Humans have struggled to recreate certain smells due to their complexity. Insights from Chapter 7. Number 1. Dr. Pepper has been dubbed a drink that doesn't taste like anything. It was created by mixing 23 syrup flavors. What is more astounding, however, is that Diet Dr. Pepper tastes much like regular Dr. Pepper, but without any calories. Insights from Chapter 8. Number 1. When Jurassic Park came out, everyone was impressed by how real the dinosaurs looked. The velociraptors in that movie were actually based on the Deinonychus. The mind can be easily tricked into believing something is real if you just show it visual proof. Insights from Chapter 9. Number 1. The Canada goose was widely hunted until measures were implemented to help the population recover. The Earth is now home to 4 to 6 million large, honking Canada geese. So geese can sometimes be a nuisance to human life on Earth. Insights from Chapter 10. Number 1. The teddy bear as we know it originated from President Teddy Roosevelt's empathy during his hunting trips. He refused to kill a wounded bear because it was unsportsmanlike. Since then, millions of the stuffed animals have been created and sold. Insights from Chapter 11. Number 1. In Florida's Disney World, one attraction is a recreation of Independence Hall, where the U.S. Constitution was signed. It makes you think how things like the United States or Disney would cease to exist if we simply all stopped believing in them. Insights from Chapter 12. Number 1. Air conditioning was born when a printing company needed to keep its pages from warping due to humidity. The company that came up with it, the Carrier Corporation, started mass-producing the units and is one of the biggest in the industry to this day. Insights from Chapter 13. Number 1. Staphylococcus aureus is a bacteria that persistently exists in about 20% of humans and causes infections. When penicillin was discovered, people thought it was the answer to the bacteria. But as more and more penicillin was used, the bacteria evolved, and penicillin became ineffective. Insights from Chapter 14. Number 1. In 1990, the Internet had just been established. Back then, you needed to plug it into your phone line and couldn't use the phone while on the Internet. Number 2. The Internet was just a series of green letters on a black screen, but it gave you access to a huge array of people and places, all in the comfort of your own home. Insights from Chapter 15. Number 1. Back in high school, John Green was convinced to enter the academic decathlon by his friend Todd. Green looks back fondly at this experience and recalls how the love he and his best friend shared shaped their lives in different ways, even if they don't talk anymore. Insights from Chapter 16. Number 1. Sunsets are the most cliched, overdone trope in poems and other forms of romantic media. Yet, they are indeed worth the praise they receive. Many artists have attempted to recreate the feeling that watching a beautiful sunset gives us, but nothing comes close to the real thing. Insights from Chapter 17. Number 1. Jerzy Dudek is a professional soccer player who earned his claim to fame on May 25, 2005, when he carried his team, Liverpool, to a victory in a Champions League season. Number 2. Dudek won that season by saving like a champion. In the penalty shootouts, he managed to confuse his opponent into missing the goal and saved the other shots. Insights from Chapter 18. Number 1. In the 2014 film Penguins of Madagascar, the opening scene is a perfect example of the lengths some documentary filmmakers will go to. It calls back to the Disney documentary White Wilderness, where they dumped a bunch of lemurs over a cliff to fake a scene. Insights from Chapter 19. Number 1. Clarence Saunders opened the first Piggly Wiggly grocery store in 1916. His new approach to grocery shopping revolutionized the market and changed the way brands advertised. They were now advertising directly to the consumer rather than to the grocery store. Despite his success, Saunders ended up bankrupt. Insights from Chapter 20. Number 1. Hot dog eating contests have been a sport in America ever since 1970. It's a sport in which contestants eat as many hot dogs as possible, all to prove who loves America the most. Even foreigners fly to the U.S. to partake in this contest. Insights from Chapter 21. Number 1. Ted Turner, the founder of CNN, said at the company's inauguration that he aimed to bring together, in brotherhood and kindness and friendship and peace, the people of America and the world. However, when you're unable to present the full story, you are doing the exact opposite of what you promised. Insights from Chapter 22. Number 1. While struggling with the worst depressive episode in his life, Green was ready to give up had he not called his parents. He told his boss that he couldn't keep coming in. His boss kept telling him to watch the movie Harvey. Number 2. Harvey is a movie about a mentally ill person who speaks to an imaginary rabbit. The movie teaches us that we can still be human despite mental illness. This movie helped Green to go through his depression and come out on top. Insights from Chapter 23. Number 1. The yips is a name for a phenomenon most common in sports. It is when a player is unable to perform a certain throw or swing because of a muscle twitch, and it causes the player to have no control in the situation. Insights from Chapter 24. Number 1. Auld Lang Syne is a song of unknown origin that is sung on New Year's Eve and other occasions as it unites people. It was even sung during that strange Christmas in 1914, where British and German soldiers called a temporary truce and celebrated Christmas together. Insights from Chapter 25. Number 1. With the invention of Google and various social media, it is now easier than ever to find out a person's personal information and details about their life simply by Googling their full names. Insights from Chapter 26. Number 1. The city of Indianapolis often gets underestimated by people. It is known for being mediocre and boring, but after you learn more about it and see it for what it is, you notice that it's a diverse hub for many. It is a community that aims to cure loneliness. Insights from Chapter 27. Number 1. Kentucky bluegrass, otherwise known as the average American lawn, has been a part of American culture and routine for as long as we can remember. A lot of resources are dedicated to the maintenance of lawns, even though it's purely aesthetic. Insights from Chapter 28. Number 1. At the end of May, one of the largest gatherings of people happens in Indiana. The Indianapolis 500 is an annual event that draws people from across the globe to watch some race cars race in a circle. It's not about the event itself, it's about the gathering. Insights from Chapter 29. Number 1. Monopoly is a board game where the goal is to bankrupt the other players. It was created as the Landlord's Game by Elizabeth McGee to showcase the inequalities of capitalism. The game was then appropriated by Charles Darrow, who gave her no credit. Insights from Chapter 30. Number 1. Super Mario Kart, first released in 1992, was a simple game that introduced the ability for multiple people to play against each other on the same screen. Years later, Mario Kart 8 still retains that classic formula, and it's still effective in an age where video games have become competitive. Insights from Chapter 31. Number 1. Between Utah and Nevada sits the small town of Wendover, home of the famous Bonneville Salt Flats, a large stretch of salt-covered land at the western shore of the Great Salt Lake. It is a popular tourist attraction and a kind of drag racing strip. Insights from Chapter 32. Number 1. Hiroyuki Doi is famous for his drawings with an absurdly large number of circles in them. According to Doi, he started drawing circles as a way to deal with the passing of his brother in 1980. Repeating mundane tasks provides relief from the sadness and grief, according to Doi. Insights from Chapter 33. Number 1. Whispering is the act of using your breath to convey a softly spoken message in close proximity. It is an intimate action as it requires you to get close to the person, and they would be the only one who would hear it. Insights from Chapter 34. Number 1. The English language has been able to express emotions such as love and jealousy rather well. But why aren't there many literary works that discuss the severity of pain? Because English cannot express the full extent of the pain a disease causes. Insights from Chapter 35. Number 1. The COVID-19 pandemic is not unprecedented. Mistakes that occurred during the Black Death recurred in the 1832 cholera epidemic and again with COVID in 2020, such as opposition to public health measures and a marginalized group being blamed for the pandemic. Number 2. The Black Death also taught humanity that it is important to stick together in equality in order to get through horrors. Insights from Chapter 36. Number 1. A wintry mix is when it rains tiny pellets of frozen rain instead of regular water drops. It is a reminder that we are not in control of the world around us, but the opposite. Insights from Chapter 37. Number 1. While visiting Iceland, Green got a recommendation to visit the famous hot dog stand in Bæjarins Bestu Pylsur. He was hesitant and thought the experience wouldn't match the hype. After trying it, however, he concluded that it was the best culinary experience of his life. Insights from Chapter 38. Number 1. With the invention of the iPhone in 2007 came the Notes app. The app might seem insignificant at first, but it has changed the way we write notes. Before, no one would be caught outside the home without a pen and paper, but that's no longer a problem. Insights from Chapter 39. Number 1. Green's favorite band is the Mountain Goats. He can't pick a favorite song as they are all his favorites. Their songs have accompanied him throughout his life from when his kids were born to when he was grieving. Insights from Chapter 40. Number 1. The invention of the QWERTY keyboard layout dates back to 1873, not by a single person, but as a collaboration of several people. They first tried putting the most frequent letters on the first row, but found that inconvenient, and the QWERTY layout was born soon after. Insights from Chapter 41. Number 1. Following a breakup, Green was in a deep state of grief and depression. He went on a road trip seeking out roadside attractions, and he found the world's largest ball of paint in Indiana. It started as a baseball, and then over 20,000 layers of paint were added to it. Number 2. Green's trip to the paintball reminded him that art isn't always created by just one person. It can be created by a large group of people collaborating. Seeing all the layers of paint and adding onto it himself gave Green some much-needed hope to go on. Insights from Chapter 42. Number 1. Sycamore trees are beautiful and live up to 300 years. They are so beautiful that Persia's king Xerxes saw one and was moved to tears. He ordered it to be decorated with gold ornaments and left one of his guards to guard it. Insights from Chapter 43. Number 1. The song New Partner by the Mountain Goats is Green's go-to song. It helps him relax in tense situations and reminds him of the good times in his life. Insights from Chapter 44. Number 1. Three Farmers on Their Way to a Dance is an iconic photograph taken by August Sanders in 1914, shortly before the eruption of World War I. It is interesting how people in photographs are frozen in time while everything around them is moving around freely. Author's style. John Green creates a reading experience that is very much akin to listening to his podcast. His style includes making occasional jokes, going off on tangents, and providing extensive details. Each chapter is written in the first person, as if Green is talking to you on the spot. His vocabulary, however, is not the easiest to understand at times. Author's perspective. The Anthropocene is the name of our current geological age, and John Green writes about anything that strikes his fancy in this age. Nothing is discussed without the needed context, though, and Green has researched all the topics he discusses. Green lives in the Indianapolis area. He moved there expecting only a mediocre experience, but has come to love its people and values. We hope you enjoyed the insights on John Green's The Anthropocene Reviewed. Purchase the book to learn more.